much. We're going to open the floor to questions in just a moment, and we have some roaming microphones. If you have a question, please raise your hand. And we have questions over here and over here as well. We'll get the microphones out there. I do want to again say, please make the question concise so we can move along and have lots of questions, because it's sometimes frustrating for those who have their arm up for a long time and never get their question heard. But I have a question for each of you. And that question is, could you tell us what has been the most difficult business decision you've made in the past 12 months? Anybody want to jump in first, or should I call names?
I don't mind going first.
Okay, sir. Scott.
This was 12 months ago, when I think back to 12 months ago, and I'm sure there's so many people in this room that must have had a similar experience. Trying to plan 2009 in 25 years in business was absolutely the toughest planning cycle I've ever gone through. It was really hard. And because none of us really knew how deep this was going to get, there was all this, there was a lot of drama about how bad it was going to get. Banks had been failing. And the decision we went through about not going into new cities, because we had done a merger the year before we bought this company, Flexcar, and we were poised. We were kind of ready to go into new cities. That was a very hard decision, especially in a market where we knew it was going to get more competitive. Very, very difficult choice for us. And we felt better about the idea of raising the cities, the performance of the cities that we were already in. But we were worried that we were going to give up some land grab in cities that we weren't in yet if some other competitor came into it. Very difficult choice.
Yes, Jim.
I think ours was at the end of last year when, the economy started to fall apart. We made a decision to actually hire 20 more people, which increased the sales force about 10%. And the theory was, this is a really good time. There's good people. There's talent. It's kind of like Mike's real estate. When the economy gets tough, there's good real estate cheap, and you can get people. We were able to hire people that we wouldn't have been able to hire in normal times because they all got fired by the big companies. And it turned out well. Ultimately, people are the solution to a lot of your problems. You just have to get the right people and use them right, and we ended up growing.
Excellent. Mike?
I kind of went over the cram down on employees, but I think that this was just web investment. We just keep pouring money into our web ops. We're launching a fashion site called punk.com maybe in 6 weeks. We're hiring, maybe somebody every other week now for that. But our core fashion and online toy business, just have the confidence to load in inventory, and it's a virtuous thing because the competition now isn't showing up. Everybody's severely undercapitalized, particularly at the mid-level and lower levels that we operate in. So it's that teeter-totter of risk-taking is really challenging. In the fashion industry with the CIT failures, I was at a fashion show in February in Vegas, and we're all of a sudden getting into more creative financing. Can we pay you in one-day terms? Trying to decide friends and family loans. Businesses that you've known forever, and you're all of a sudden floating out $1 million to them because we have tremendous liquidity. We have banks, and we have no bank loans. So we're sitting on top of $8 or $9 million of T-bills trying to figure out what to do with it. So all of a sudden, friends and family are meaning business friends, it's a tough thing. You know people emotionally, you've known them forever. Their banks are pulling their lines. They need stopgap financing. We've been engaged in a lot of that, as well as just trying to figure out which startups to invest in. Has been a real big challenge. I think we made 3 or 4 significant startup investments just in the last year or so, to the point of there's tremendous opportunity for ideas, but great stuff like bringing computer expertise to people in nursing homes. Things just have fabulous potential. So I think it's one of those things when everybody else is in trouble and you've got dry powder in the form of cash, there's just this absolute time to plunge the knife in deep and just twist and twist, because it's a once in a decade opportunity. So managing precious cash resources in a world that's so hungry for cash is an ongoing issue. But I tend to, anyway, enough of that, but it is the dark side of that is there's huge opportunity. Our biggest cost inputs, labor is number 1 and space is number 2, and both those inputs are significantly more inexpensive, so you can get much higher quality people for the same dollars. So
David,
trying
you
to
wanted
manage
to
that is a challenge.
Excellent. Yes.
So I have two decisions. Now, you have to understand, I've been writing a book for the last 12 months. So my two hardest decisions in my business is, I've basically been hanging out. So it's like, where am I going to surf in the summer and where am I going to ski in the winter? So those are the ones that I've been
we feel sorry for you.
But now you will feel sorry for me, because I'll tell you the hardest business decision I've had to make. It hasn't been in the last 12 months. It was actually about 7 years ago. And Anthony had mentioned that I was offered $50 million for a company, and that was true. But you notice he said offered. I never got that $50 million. The company that made that offer, it was a bank. They gave me an offer for $50 million for this company that started. It was actually a New England company. And
was it preferred capital?
It was, preferred capital, right. And then we had a month of due diligence, so I was like, oh, great, $50 million, this is awesome. Went on a trip around the world, come back, get called to New York, to get my check. And I walk into the boardroom, and the CEO of this bank is sitting there. He's got no papers, and he's got 2 lawyers, and I'm like, something's wrong. The day before, their bank was shut down by the FDIC. So not only were they taking that $50 million offer off the table, but they were calling my lines of credit at the same time, which were lines that I couldn't think. So within 6 months, I was actually filing for personal bankruptcy. The hardest decision, and I had to make some decisions on what I was going to do. And the hardest decision, we had about 300 employees. And, I realized, wow, storm clouds. So it was really having to lay off. We had to lay off like 200 of the 300 employees. And that was just a brutal decision. And I learned a lot from that. And I actually didn't do it the right way. One of the things that I learned is if you're going to lay off, you've got to cut deep and early. What I did, I would cut 50 people, and that wasn't enough. So then we would cut another 50 people, and that itself was a painful process. But then what happened in the organization? Everyone was paranoid. They didn't know when the next one was coming, and of course I was like, this is the only cut we're going to make. But then, you'd make the next one, and I lost total credibility, and it was very painful. I even had to lay off my brother. I think he's in the audience somewhere here. But
are you talking with him?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him in like 6 months, but.
Well, thank you very much. Let's go to your questions. I know we have some. Where are we here? Do we have a question over here? I know I saw an arm over here. Raise your hand. Please tell us your name. They'll hold on to the microphone and tell us your name and your question, please.
Sure. My name is John Marchioni. I work with a company called the New Enterprise Factory, and we work with nonprofits to be more entrepreneurial. And as entrepreneurs ourselves, we love obstacles. We find great direction from them. So I'm wondering what are some of the most challenging obstacles that you guys have confronted that turned out to be unique opportunities for success. Thanks.
Jim.
Yeah. For me, what I thought was a disaster was the fact that, after I had started brewing my beer, I'm in a business where by law you have to sell from a brewer to a wholesaler, then to a retailer. And there were 5 wholesalers in Boston, and every one of them turned me down. I had no way to get my beer to market, but luckily in Massachusetts there's a loophole that allows a brewery to start a wholesaler, which meant I rented a truck and I put cold beer in my briefcase and I went from bar to bar trying to get people to taste beer and trying to get bars to carry it. And I'd never sold anything before in my life, but to me it was a very liberating experience. I got out of my suit and got to meet bar managers, bartenders, with a whole another world. You no longer walk into a restaurant through the front door, you go in through the back. You don't get a lot of respect. Every once in a while somebody pulls a gun on you. And that was very liberating and enlightening, and now I love selling beer.
We know you do. Yes, Scott.
So question was obstacles. I guess maybe if I just think back through my career, even before Zipcar, the one thing that Zipcar really taught me about business and my own connection to business was the intersection of passion and doing what you want to do with your life and finding a way to do that every day in your job. And I really hadn't gotten to that point. I'd had wonderful jobs and made some money and built a couple companies and sold one and did okay, but I really had never found my sweet spot in my day job. I really didn't feel like I'd found it. And I started my career at the Boeing company. I loved transportation. And then I'd gone on to internet and wireless and other stuff. I was technology and marketing most of my career. And when I first heard about Zipcar and was interviewing for the CEO job, it was almost like I found this moment where, like, this is where I ought to be. My whole career brought me to this point. Somehow I'm sitting in this room talking about this company. And when I go out and talk at schools now and everywhere, I try to tell that story because we've been working our tails off at Zipcar for 7 years. We've struggled to raise money. We've had difficult moments with everything from hiring to insurance. I mean, you can imagine the kind of things that happen in cars that we've dealt with. And I have not had one bad day since I've come into the job because I love what we're doing. I love the brand we're building. And the culture that we're developing in the company is just, it's phenomenal, and it's going to outlast me. And I'm very proud of that. And I finally found a place where I'm that happy. And I've started to, that's contagious. Right? People want to be around people that feel that way. And there's another little company that we're helping right now, Run My Errand. New idea that's an innovative idea that's here in Boston. We're incubating in our company. And so we're trying to find other people that, that like that contagious sense of optimism that we can work together. And to take passion and apply it to your day job has just been, it's just been an aha moment. And it's gotten me past every obstacle that we've ever had at Zipcar.
Mike.
I'd say, the biggest obstacle or impediment was, and it turned into a great fortune, but was in 95, 96. We wanted to get up online. We built 14,000 static pages of HTML, had one of the fastest serving sites, worked with Open Marketing Cambridge with their transaction engine. We were the first beta customer to sell a hard good on that platform. Then CD Now came along, $240 million of investor money, actually lost it. 50 million packages sold at a $5 loss. So took our lumps. We took about $1 million hit on that. But fast forward to maybe 5-6 years ago, we said we're going to relaunch online. We're doing product research. We're like, wait a minute, Amazon's prices are way too cheap. We're going to have great difficulty. Then we noticed that you're actually allowed to sell used CDs on the Amazon platform as a third-party seller. They've been allowing that for 6 or 8 months. We're in the business. We had no clue. So we signed up to be a seller. I hired 2 Berklee College of Music business students who had graduated or interned. Made a bet with a Berkeley professor on an online class I was taking. You had to have a class project. So I bet him we could have $1 million run rate business by the end of the class, which was a 13-week class. And he's like, nice idea. I'm like, ha, 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 you'll never do it. So we bet a dinner on it. This is an online chat forum for the class. And, well, I lost the bet, but I won the dinner because it actually took me 2 weeks longer than I said to hit $1 million run rate. So the leverage of those opportunities, look at something that we thought was an impediment, which is Amazon, with these crushing prices to turn into a huge platform for distressed goods was a remarkable thing. And Amazon's our largest source now. I think we ship 5 or 6 million a year through them. We've shipped over 1 million packages to Amazon customers. So that kind of co-opetition, somebody you think may be your biggest impediment, actually turned out to be one of our biggest profit drivers. And now we're selling toys and fashion and whatnot on Amazon, so it's a very exciting time.
Excellent. David, do you want to add something?
Yeah, well, I was going to say I think I told you what the biggest obstacle I had, and that was when my company went down. I had to file for personal bankruptcy. But it, too, was an opportunity, and it was an opportunity to kind of start over career-wise. I think Chris Christopherson said, when you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose. So I was just sitting there, and I'm like, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And I looked at, obviously it was, online and software. So I actually took a year off, after this whole debacle, and just immersed myself. And, I had no background in software, but and I studied, and then I went into it, learned more about, saw an opportunity, left into it, started my own online tax software company, and 3 years ago sold it to H&R Block, and now I'm sitting up here with these cats. So it was that, but that opportunity came out of that obstacle.
Excellent.